publication talk today. So I've written down few topics that I would like to cover today, that I would like to share with you some of my knowledge and experience in publishing papers, journal papers, particularly in Q1 and Q2 journals. So these are some of the topics that I will be covering. Of course, one fundamental question that we always ask is why we need to publish, right? And journals, the criteria of choosing a journal, and of course the Q, the quartile. The quartile is one thing that the students need to know, why we need to publish in the quartile 1 and 2. We have quartile 1 to 4, right? Later on, I'll explain to this about this quartile. So I'll talk more on the quartiles, on the Q1 and Q2 journals. And I also like to share with you, and probably I need the students to know what is journal indexing services all about. No? What type of journal indexing is there? And what makes an ISI journal? What is ISI and all that? Then after that, I'll be discussing on the reasons for the unsuccessful publication in journals, why our paper or your paper is being rejected or unsuccessful. Then I'll explain to you about the identification, how to identify the journals, and also using the journal citation report, JCR, and of course the imperfector that is being widely spoken now. A lot of people are talking about imperfector, so I will give some introduction about imperfector, how to calculate the imperfector. Then of course the more important thing is how to write from title to references, the entire structure of the manuscript from the title of your paper until to the references, and cover letter, review process, reasons for the rejection. So I'll give a lot of examples why our paper is being rejected, and how we should revise a paper. So these are some of the topics I thought is useful for you all. And there's a lot of things to cover. When you talk about publication, there are a lot of things to cover. But these are something that today I thought I would like to share with all of you. So if you have any questions or any comments, you can give in the chat, okay? Because I can't see you all. I only can see my face here and the slides. So if you have any questions or any comments, you can highlight in the chat, or you can straight away ask questions, okay? So let me start by giving you some analogy about why you think that climbing a mountain is a way, is one way of publishing a journal paper. Is it writing a journal paper is like a climbing a mountain? Okay. How do you normally climb the mountain? Before you start climbing a mountain, you need to do a lot of preparations, right? You need to do a lot of preparations. So what are the things that you do normally when you want to climb a mountain? I'm not talking about small mountains. We are talking about reasonably high mountain that you need a lot of training, planning. So similarly, same thing goes to journal publication. When you want to publish your papers, you need to have a proper training. The planning is very important. Similarly, you want to climb a mountain, you need to do a proper planning, right? Because you need to know the terrain, right? The path of climbing a mountain, the way to the mountain peak and all that. So there's always a practice is there. And you need to have a skill. You need to skill to climb the mountain. So when you publish a paper, you also need the skill to know how to publish a good paper, particularly in Q1 and Q2 journals now. So in order to do this, you must have the basic things. You want to climb the mountain, you need the endurance. No? You need the perseverance. No? You must be persistent. No? You don't give up. So all these are quite similar, like how you want to climb a mountain. So I thought it's an analogy for me to give you, to show you that writing a journal paper is like climbing a mountain. So one important thing that you need to do before you climb a mountain is practice, right? So practice is very important. So similarly, for journal paper, to publish a paper, you need some practice. So today, I think it's a part of the training. And this part of the training, you attend publication talk, you attend workshops, how to publish the journal papers. No? So these are a part of the training, the practice, the planning that you need to do, the learning process. All these are learning process. And you need to have a very specific skills, right or not? You need to have a very specific skills to climb the mountain. At the same time, for journal paper, also you need a very specific skills, how to write a journal paper from the title until to the reference, because there are a lot of things are there, right? The structure of the manuscript, from the title, from the abstract, introduction, methodology, result discussion, and we have the acknowledgement, conclusions, references. So many things are there. So you need to have specific skills how to tackle or how to do one by one the things that I mentioned to you just now. So I thought it is a good analogy for me to show the mountain. So this is just an introduction for you all, okay? It's a very unfortunate because we are doing online. I'll be happy if I can meet you face-to-face in the class or in any seminar, so that I can express and motivate you, because motivate is very important before we start writing a journal paper, okay? Even the motivation itself, normally it took like half an hour for 1 hour to explain why you need to publish a journal paper, okay? But due to this COVID-19 pandemic, I understand that all of us need to work from home. Even myself, I'm working from home. So we have no other choice meeting you all in this webinar, in the online session. But it's probably is good that next time when I meet you in the campus after the pandemic is over, we can have a very big scale or useful discussion, direct contact with you all, and you can express yourself in more meaningful way. Okay, my next slide is why we need to publish. So this is the motivation to publish. It's very important because the motivation of publish won't come easily to everyone. You need to have the patience to publish paper. You must like it. You must like it. So when I was started to write up journal papers and all that, so my passion to write journal started from my PhD. When I did my PhD in the University of Newcastle upon time in the UK. So it started from there. So I was very much interested in the joy, the joy. Remember the mountain I showed you just now? What is your feel when you reach the mountain tip at the highest level of the mountain? You'll feel very happy, right? You will be excited, right? You will be full of joyful, right? Joy, happiness. So similarly, that happiness, when you write the paper, you must have the happiness. In every stage of writing, you must feel the happiness. So you publish paper not for your own, there are a lot of reasons why people are publishing papers, right? So for me, what is important, you want to improve the world around us. We need to we need to improve the world around us, to improve world, because there are a lot of things that can be done around us, right? Then you want to disseminate your knowledge. You want to make your publication findings public, open to uh, judgment by public. People will examine. There are some examination of your paper by other scholars or any other knowledge users. They want to see what you have done as a PhD student. No, I think most of you are graduates. You are doing masters and PhD. So one important thing that you need is the publication. So for students, I will say, even my students, they said I need to publish because it's a part of the graduation requirement. It's a part of the graduation requirement because in order for you to submit your thesis, you need to publish at least one paper in WOS, Web of Science, or Scopus. Just 2 days back, just for your information, for those who are in UTM, just for your information, just 2 days back, I received an email from, I think, from KPT, Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi, starting from this year, September intake, new intake, those who wish to submit their thesis for Viva, you must have at least one WOS paper, Web of Science paper. No more Scopus. They are going for WOS, Web of Science paper. Later on, I'll explain to you what is WOS, Scopus, and all that. For those who don't understand, maybe you're quite new to this Scopus, WOS, and all that. Later, I'll explain to you. Don't worry about that. Okay. And number two is a recognition as excellent student, right? You will publish maybe one or two papers, your supervisor will be happy. Like my students, one of my students who just published one paper in P1, I was very much excited and I congratulate him that he can able to produce a P1 paper without much help from me. So he was doing alone, so I just give him some advice and all that. So it really helps him and it motivates him to publish in a Q1 paper. So it's really a great recognition for him. And of course, it helps in career development. After you complete your PhD, you want to work in the as an academician. People are looking into how many papers you have published in Q1 or Q2 or in Scopus. So all this will help you in your career development. And of course, you need to you're helping in other way the advancement of knowledge and its application and research knowledge generation, all that. So it's all about knowledge. You see, it's all about knowledge. How you disseminate the knowledge to the public, especially to the scholars and to the knowledge users. So this is why we need to publish. And I already specifically mentioned how, as a graduate, what you should do. What is the purpose of publication for you? What is the benefit of publication for you? Okay, so I hope you understand on this part. So let me move on to the types of journal papers. There are basically 4 types. Generally, there are 4 types of journal papers. One is the original research, the full paper. We always use the full length research paper. Okay, and number 2 is the short communications. Generally, will be like 5 to 6 pages. Short communications. The references are not that much, less than 20 references. Even some are communicating 3 pages of communications. Okay, so not that much in-depth knowledge that you can get from there, but you want to communicate to the scholars that you have found something new and you want to immediately inform them in 3 to 5 pages. So we call it as a short communications. Then we have the review articles. This is a very lengthy, review articles that very in-depth, literature review. The references can go up to like 300 references. I've seen few articles, review articles that go to 300 references are there. So it's very detailed, very what you call consumes a lot of time to write, and generally this review article is written by experts, those who are experts in this area for a long period of time, who are well versed in that particular field of expert. Then we have the case studies. If there's any case studies, for example, now we have pandemic COVID-19 pandemic. So specifically, you can talk about Malaysian case studies, maybe in Klang Valley, for example, the pandemic in Klang Valley. Like the Klang Valley, we're having very much difficulties, right? The cases are going up in Selangor, for example. So that's a case study that you can come out. So these are the types of papers that are there for publication. And criteria for choosing a journal, there are many criteria. The first and foremost criteria that you need to see is the scope of a journal. It's very, very vital, very, very important that you look into the scope of it. Because a lot of my papers, even my students' papers, because without informing me, they like to send straight away to a journal and being rejected by the journal by some simple reason. A simple reason is that they say the scope of the journal is not according to the what you call scope of that particular journal. So your research is not covered in our journal, for example. So that's number one. Scope is very important. If you're doing in water research, or you're doing in environmental engineering or in chemical engineering, so you must make sure that you send to chemical engineering. You don't send to, for example, education, like management of education, because you're doing engineering research, right? But you're sending to for example, in management of education. So it's entirely different. The scope is entirely different, right? So you need to see the scope of the journal. So you can go to the journal website. So always in a journal website, there's a scope of the particular journal. Then you must read that scope of the journal, whether your area of research or your paper is covered by the journal scope. Number two is the indexing. It's another important thing that you need to consider, which I will explain to you. There are many services, indexing services are there. For example, Web of Science, Scopus, JGay, Simago. Remember, there are many journal citation or journal indexing services are there. So later on, I'll explain about this, because this is one of the topics that I want to cover. And of course, the impact factor. We will go into impact factor. I will explain to you what is impact factor, what is the importance of impact factor, and the journal ranking as well. Publication frequency, another very important, very important. Let me give you one example of my students, what you call publication. You want to submit for thesis, and you need to publish one journal paper. Recently, because it happened recently, April or May, just 2 months ago. So this student want to publish a paper for that he can submit his thesis. So unfortunately, he sent to one journal that took, he didn't look into the frequency, he didn't look into the time of review, time of publication, he didn't look into all that. he just sent to the journal, to the particular journal, and you know what happened? It took 6 months for them to review. 6 months just to review. What to say about publication? So publication take another 6 months if you want to see the real published paper. So you must be very careful with the time of review and also the publication. Of course, the publication frequency. Are they publishing how many issues per year? Is it one issues? Some journals are publishing 12 issues per year. So all these are very important. And of course, the rejection rate. So the rejection rate also, you must look into that. For some journals, if you look into Q1 and Q2 papers, okay, journals, generally the rejection rate is very, very low, 20%, 15%. Some are very cruel, can go to up to 10% of rejection. So the acceptance. The rejection rate can be like 70%, 70%, 75% rejection rate. I mean, the acceptance is, just now I mentioned to you about 15%, 20% is the acceptance rate. So the rejection rate can go to like 70% or 75% rejection rate. So you need to see, because some of the journals, they mention at their website, so our journal rejection rate is what? 70% or 60% or 50%. So you must look into all this. Okay.